everything. 1 second. To make sure that there's nothing bothering us here.
Okay, so let's start. Hello, everybody. This is Crypto Davy Podcast. We're live today with Katie from Tanssi Protocol. We're launching an AMA today, and we're gonna discuss everything related to Tanssi. So, Katie, could you give me a brief introduction on yourself? What role do you play in Tanssi community, and basically run our listeners through who you are?
Absolutely. First of all, thank you so much for the invite. I'm very happy to be here with you today, Michael, and also like all your amazing community. I'm Kathy. I'm the co-founder and CMO at Tanssi Network. I've been in the Web3 space for like, I don't know, like around like 5 years now, but I've been in the tech space, in the tech industry for over 10 years now. So I've been like from Web 2 to Web 3, seeing a lot of changes. Of course, I'm in love with the crypto community. My crypto journey started at Moonbeam in Polkadot. So that's where like I built the Moonbeam community from when it was like very little to like the amazing community that pop up there with over like, I don't know, like 300,000 people. So it was like a lot of people. And then around like 2 years and a half is where like we started this amazing journey with Tanssi, right? So Tanssi, in easy words for people that is not familiar with what's Tanssi, it's a protocol for launching decentralized networks in minutes. So when I tell you like you can launch your blockchain in minutes, it's possible through Tanssi. Um, Pretty much how Tanssi started was because of all the issues that we saw when we were in Polkadot and in Moonbeam before. It's hard to launch a blockchain. It's just like a huge to-do list, like not only on the community front that I'm usually specialized, but like in the technical side, it's just like a long list of like, I'm just gonna name a few like headaches here, but like onboarding validators, onboarding block producers, like talking with all these teams to integrate their tools, like just setting the infrastructure. It's a lot of money. It takes a lot of time, and that usually already set teams apart because they don't even have the money and time to focus on what they should really focus, that is like build, right? Like build the core, like build, like have the best UX, like bring the community. So there's where like we wanted to step in. We wanted to like build this infrastructure that is permissionless, that like everybody can just go and like pretty much you can set up your blockchain. You can choose between some templates, or you can also customize it, and then boom, you launch your blockchain. Probably the easiest way to explain this is, where are my millennials here, but like they might remember how hard it was to launch a website in the 2000s. It was like horrible. And now pretty much like it's like so easy with WIX, right? You just like use a template, customize it, and then boom. So that's pretty much what Tanssi is doing. So I don't want to jump on the questions that you have, but that's pretty much a quick overview on like me and Tanssi.
Yeah, super. I like the analogy that you brought up with the websites. I think it's a very good way to describe the project. As I'm understanding this, you have a bunch of templates basically for building blockchains through Tanssi in an easy way, and you don't have to know coding or whatever. You basically go through the UI of Tanssi, and you can set yourself up a blockchain and make it work basically the way you intended to be designed, if I'm right.
It's close. So Tansy is mostly gonna focus on the launch phase and also on the management phase of your blockchain. So for example, if you are building something that is like a game and you have like the core design and everything, Tansy is not gonna influence so much in the core of your dApp. We're gonna be mostly like the solid infrastructure that you don't have to worry about, more. So like all the setup of the infrastructure is what we make like much easier right now. So there are like two main ways I will say that like you can access Tanssi. Is one through templates. So there are like substrate and EVM templates that you can utilize and then like set up your blockchain. That's the easiest way. And then there's also like a possibility for customization. So if you want to have like a specific parameters on governance, you can do all of that. For example, customizing more like that deployment and how like your blockchain is going to work on the infrastructure side, so like what pretty much like we want to tell to developers is like just leave the infrastructure headaches to us, like we'll handle that, we have that. Like for example, one important thing to mention here is the decentralization part, right? Like decentralization, trying to have a fully decentralized blockchain has been a challenge through all these years, and that's why L2s emerge, right? Like a way that like well, not decentralized, they're the opposite actually, but like they pretty much wanted to like have like way faster transactions, much cheaper, but they were like risking on decentralization, right? Because it's like harder. So there's a huge problem right now. Like a lot of L2s, like I would say like more than 90% of the L2s are not fully decentralized, which is concerning, which like the amount of communities that they have. So like here's where like Tanssi plays a role, right? Like because Tanssi has this key integration with Symbiotic, that is this like top staking protocol. They already are having this like integration where Tanssi allows the deployment of symbiotic networks in just minutes. Because to like deploy a symbiotic network, there are some steps that developers need to focus. So like some of them are like, for example, onboarding operators. Those are like steps that with Tanssi, it's like much quicker. Like Tanssi has already that set up, so you can like deploy much faster in a decentralized way, and then you can just focus on the core of your business.
Yeah, that's great. I also ran through your website and through the white paper of the project before the stream, and I also got interested in your kind of partnership with Symbiotic. Was it hard to land a partnership this big? Because it seems like Symbiotic is a very big team, and it must have been pretty challenging to make them work with you.
It was definitely a big win for Tansy when like we pretty much like made public the collaboration with Symbiotic. So of course it was like a big celebration internally. But I would say like we already knew the Symbiotic team from our times in Moonbeam. So we've worked with Misha, that is the founder. He was also like in the Lido team when we work in Moonbeam. So we already had a relation with them. And I think like Symbiotic just like was a natural fit for Tansi's vision and also for Tansi's architecture. So let me explain more on that. So for Tansi's vision is like, since Tansi was like built in terms of like plans when like Tansi didn't even have a name. We wanted what we wanted to do. Our goal was clear. We just wanted to make blockchain just more accessible to everyone, So like, where could we contribute with that goal that I know that a lot of projects have, right? Because it's got like a cheesy goal by now, but like we can contribute on the infrastructure side, on the technical side, because that's where we specialize in Moonbeam. So that's how like Tansy started. So then when like we saw Symbiotic and they also want to bring this decentralization, make it more accessible, like bring it to all, that was like a natural fit because both protocols are permissionless. And then also that we knew the team, and then the support, like the team and the like, just like that was a natural fit also like in a culture fit, I would say, So I think like in general it was a great choice, and we're very happy with our collaboration. But I want to clarify here, because it's a common question that we get from our community, is that like Symbiotic is the first like shared network we're like supporting, but that this is just the beginning for us, So Tansi's architecture is made to be scalable and support other types of networks and ecosystems as well.
Yeah, great, great. And you also mentioned, of course, the builders. This is basically what the project is catered for. And I have the next question for you. How does Tansy actually support developers and projects within the ecosystem?
Yeah, that's a great question. Thank you. So pretty much for us is that if our builders are successful, we are successful. So that's why there are like grants program, for example, for funding the development of teams. The Tansy Foundation website is tansy.foundation, already has grants information on terms of like, for example, if you are building something, you're going to use Tansy infrastructure and you're bringing new use cases or new tools, there's a chance, that like that the Tansy Foundation can fund this type of projects and ideas. So that's one. And then also in general, every project that builds on Tansy can reach out to us directly on Discord. And then we create these like single groups with projects and we give them direct support, So we put our like developer relations, our like developers team, our like marketing and community team, our BD team, everybody there. And we are also here to like support with any like mentorship or ideas. We try to like support not only with the tech, that is something that we provide, but also with our expertise, because all the co-founders of Tanssi and all the team that works in Tanssi, it's not new to crypto. We have seen it all. We have seen a lot of things. So I think that like we can support there, with what we know so far. But like crypto is also changing like all the time. That like these connections with the ecosystem are super amazing for us, because we also learn about like new use cases. So we're like super open to like chat with more teams, and like give mentorship, as well as talk also on how the Tansy Foundation can help with grants as well.
I think it is very important, especially to target developers, because they're actually the ones that bring in the tech. I mean, what projects could do without the developers? I mean, on the backbone of every project, we as users might not see it as much, but on the back, it's the developers, it's the GitHub repository, and everything to do with it. And of course, supporting developers is very crucial. But I also wanted to ask you a question from the user perspective now.
Hmm.
Running through the website, I saw that you have a program on Tennessee, and it's called Let's Forkin Dance 2. Could you run me through the details of what this is, and how can the users, if we're not if the developers that are ready to build on chain were less tech savvy, say, how can the users also participate in this event and maybe get a potential reward?
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, Let's Working Dance season 2. It's a campaign that we just love, and like we're having so much fun with it. It's a campaign that incentivizes the community to be part of the dance ecosystem, and at the end of it, they can also get an incentives. If they are like in the top, I would say like top 5,000, I think, on the leaderboard, then they get incentives and they get into the incentive pool. There is a total of like 10 million Tansy tokens on the incentive pools. So like if you're an active participant in that campaign, then you can access to that pool. I love this campaign particularly. Let me start with the name. Let's Forking Dance, right? So like when we launched Tansy and we had our small community, I remember I personally tweeted something when like we hit, I think it was like when we closed one of the investors round, and I tweeted something like, let's fucking go. And I'm sorry, I'm saying like this word online, but like, like, so like I said that, and then like the community of Tansy corrected me, and they were like, no, 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 it's not like LF go anymore. It's like let's fucking dance. And it just like stayed with us. So we were like LFD, LFD, LFD. And then when it was the moment to launch our incentivized tester campaign for our community to, like build and grow this community, it just came naturally to be the name. But of course, we cannot say fucking everywhere, and just like be like putting that in text everywhere. We will get banned from a lot of social media channels. So that's where we changed that word with forking. And then naturally, our mascot is a fork with its dog Coco, and like we are building all a whole narrative and story and gamified experience around Tansyland. Tansyland represents in a very, I will say, imaginary way somehow what is Tansy, because it has 3 islands. The first island that has a series of quests, like it's all about community. The second island that is coming up, it's actually going to be open this upcoming week. It's all going to be about like bringing on-chain challenges and also like introducing the testnet architecture, like all these like type of functionalities that are like user facing. And then the last island is going to introduce the builders. It's going to introduce more ecosystem projects that are on Tansy. There are going to be quests that are going to be hosted by them, and that island it's set to be like it's going to be live in March. So this is Let's Forking Dance. It's a very fun way of joining the Tansy ecosystem, of joining Tansy and get points and get a chance of getting incentives. So I love this campaign. I think it's been super fun. I think like it's bringing great results. It actually also has a mini app on Telegram that users can access and play. So it has just like different ways that you can just connect with Tansy in a very fun way. So I definitely invite all the community to join, register, and just have fun with us.
Yeah, I've seen that it's made. I don't know if this is the UI or just a picture for it, but I mean, I've seen the gamified aspect of it, and it looks really amazing, very well thought through. The way you have a fork as your mascot and everything, it all kind of ties in together into an ecosystem.
Yeah,
And I also ran through the tokenomics, and judging by, you have, I think, 1 billion total supply of tokens, and if you're giving away 10 million for this specific event, that's a whole percent of the tokenomics, if my math does me right. So
you are
it should be a
exactly.
pretty interesting thing that the community can dive into, I guess.
Yeah, absolutely. And you're on point with the math. That's exactly. It's 1% of the network that is allocated for this campaign. And yeah, it's like very fun. I think like the team internally did a great job with all the graphics, with all the story. We had fun also in the planning. So that's why it's a campaign that we naturally, we're like very emotionally attached with it. So we hope that the community likes it. And as well, like, we're always open for feedback of the community. Season three, it's gonna come at some point. So like everything that we learn from every campaign just like helps make the next campaign better.
And I mean, from my community, people always ask me if it's too late to start interacting with the project. Because we do a lot of airdrop farming and what so not. We get involved into many projects. And from you saying there's going to be a season three, I mean, we're early, right?
Yeah, I mean, and not only that, we have only opened village one of three villages in Let's Forkin Dance season two. So there's, it's not that you are like, wow, super early. I will be lying because the mini app, it's gonna like, we're gonna have like closing the mini app of village one now, but like village two, village three are coming. So there are like still a lot of ways of like getting like points. And just I'm like alpha to you guys. Like there are gonna be like a special quest, like it's gonna be like a wheel of fortune. So there are gonna be some airdrop of points for new users. So this is not the end. You guys are definitely, still like on time to climb on the leaderboard and have fun with us. Join our community. And for season three, like you like said, and Michael, like it's just gonna be, they're early for that one. We haven't even announced it.
So, what is the actual concept of the villages? So, it is kind of a quest, as I'm understanding it, where people can engage in the test net, do certain basically steps, and are guided through the village to complete quests and compete with each other and earn points. Is that the core idea behind it?
Yeah, exactly. So like there are like three villages. The first village is called like LFD Gen. So these are all like focus on our community. So here's like we welcome the community to all our social media channels and also to the story about Tanssi. So there's a mini app where like the community can go claim their tickets and then they can define how the Tanssi story evolves. And based on like who has voted in the community, there's a community of over 90,000 people right now voting on these like stories. So like based on like what like the majority votes, then that Tansiland story it starts going that way. So actually the last week of the mini app story it's coming up as well. So we're gonna see what's the final. We're all trying to like stay on it and see like what's the community deciding on the story because it's been very fun. So that's island one, right? It's like a lot of fun on the community. Island two, that is the island that we're opening now. It's all gonna be about the tech, right? So we're like opening the test net for the community. Like the community is like the testnet is already usable, everybody can access, but now you're actually going to be able to use it and get points. So pretty much that one like brings on-chain tasks like staking on the testnet, like also registering a chain and going through the Tanssi experience of launching a chain easily. And then also playing, there's like a mini game. No, it's not a mini game, it's like capture the flag on the testnet. So it's like a very like straightforward game. So it's more like trying this like testnet functionality, and that's island two. And then the village three or island three, it's called Builders Bay, and that's the one where we're gonna like onboard other projects in our ecosystem to host their own quests. So that's pretty much it. And then the community is going to be able to see who's building on Tanssi, interact with them, get points. And we're planning some like fun secrets there that are coming up for Builders Bay that we're cooking right now. But like that's pretty much kind of like the logic on the three islands or villages.
Yeah, I see. It looks amazing. I mean, I haven't yet tried the testnet, but from you saying how great it is, I'm actually, I really want to get involved in it now. And
Yeah.
I also see that you have a division of, you even have approximate tokens per participant that I'm seeing a table on your website. So basically, if you're a speculator like me, you can speculate on the value of those potential tokens, and maybe that will incentivize you towards climbing the ranks. How many live people do you have? Do you have any stats on how many people are actually participating in this part of the testnet in this Forkin dance too?
Yeah, last time I checked, it was around 90,000 people on like the apps, like going in the mini app, going also through like the platform and completing quests. So yeah, it's like definitely there.
Yeah, that's great. I mean, a lot of involvement, I guess. So another question I would like to bring up, since we brought up symbiotic many times on the stream already. Uh, do you have any future plans for even maybe bigger partnerships that are lined up, or maybe some partnerships that you would like to highlight? I mean, we spoke about symbiotic and how it's
Yeah.
actually being utilized. I also saw some news about Polkadot and the way the network kind of aligns with Polkadot in some way. I'm not really understanding this, so bring me up to speed, please.
Absolutely. I'm happy to explain it. So Tanssi started in Polkadot. Like when we started, Tanssi was like only focused on launching parachains in minutes. And then Tanssi evolved to also expanding to Ethereum. So the integration that now we're focusing with Symbiotic is Tansi's expansion on Ethereum. So that's why our testnet currently simulates more like a Polkadot environment. Now we're also gonna like simulate like the symbiotic environment. So people is gonna also be able to see, okay, if you want to access restake services, how do we do that part, with the operators and all that part. So that's what it's coming with Symbiotic. So that's pretty much our relation. And with that, like remember, like at the start I mentioned that like Symbiotic, it's like part of our like beginning. That's what it means, like we're gonna continue growing. So now that you said like where do we see Tansy growing or expanding, so like I would say like this year our focus is all gonna be on Ethereum. We wanna make sure that the mainnet is successful with our integration with Symbiotic. They'll make sure that everything is working fine to onboard projects and make sure everything is working fine. But we're already talking about like where do we see Tansy next? And honestly, we're seeing ecosystems like Solana, that I think that like they will they need some help with like launching blockchains like faster and having like a strong infrastructure. So I think like that could be like a potential one. But yeah, as like we have a very big vision for Tansy. We want Tansy to be like the go-to destination to launch blockchains, and that we are the go-to infrastructure. So this is pretty much the beginning. So that's on the question on like our relation with Polkadot, Symbiotic, and everything. On terms of like integrations that I do really like, there's like one that is one of my favorite ones, just because it was like a Web 2 adoption of Web 3, pretty much. So there's like this huge digital media group in Brazil. They are like called Grupo Flow. They have like a bunch of like different podcasts. They have like millions of viewers, and they are just like a digital media group. So they have like different platforms, but they pretty much wanted to like build a tokenized community that they can like have like, I would say, like incentives, and they can like build and grow, and they can have a different level of engagement with the community, not just having this relation of like podcast and viewer, but having them a more like engaged ecosystem. So they pretty much were thinking, okay, we have the idea clear of what we want to do. Now how do we do this, right? Like where do we build and everything. And there's where Tansy is coming to play. So Tansy is pretty much going to be the infrastructure, for like all these tokenized community. And we're talking about a community of millions. So the challenge here is that like Grupo Flow needs to make sure that if they're going to transition this Web 2 community to Web 3, it's going to be smooth, it's going to be fast, they're going to have their dedicated space and everything. So there's where Tansy is coming to play, and I think that like Tansy being so accessible and easy and super straightforward is definitely bringing attention, not only from like Web 3 like teams, but also like Web 2 teams, or even like teams that were like curious about blockchain as well. So I'll say that that one is one of my favorite use cases. There are like a lot of amazing teams and everything, so huge shout out to our ecosystem. But like, yeah, I'm definitely bullish about like new use cases we're seeing in Tansy.
Yeah, I'm also seeing many big integrations with other restaking protocols like Renzo and Mello. So yeah, I guess this will be a go-to uh, chain, an app for integrating with restaking protocols.
Yeah,
I
exactly.
guess
Exactly.
yes, the symbiotic partnership really kind of sets a tide wave of all the other projects following up.
It's a very nice ecosystem, and yeah, we're very happy with how like it's expanding and how we're also like integrating with other restaking protocols. We're huge believers of decentralization in general, so I think like restaking for us is the way to go on that side. How can we bring decentralization faster to other projects?
And you also mentioned mainstream adoption. I also think that this is a very huge, I'd say, catalyst, yeah, for the future, because crypto is getting more and more adoption, and you're building basically tech to make it simpler, as we stated in the beginning of the podcasts. And it is actually very hard, and crypto seems to prove to us so time and time again that unfortunately we're not ready for mass adoption yet, because every time a massive airdrop comes and all the farmers queue up to gather their tokens, and the site is dead for several hours, and then you have problems with the listing, the chain falls, and everything like that. It's kind of, it reminds me of the situation when the Trump meme coin launched, and that was okay. But then when Melania launched afterwards, the whole Solana chain just refused to send transactions through. And this just shows that whenever we have a critical mass of people on the blockchain, it's very tough from the tech side to make it not fall apart in the process. And if we really do want mass adoption, we need to make this a very smooth user experience, basically. So I think this is very critical also for mass adoption.
I completely agree with you. And I think that the project like the problem that a lot of projects like face right now is that like handling the infrastructure for that mass adoption, it's super expensive. It requires a lot of time, people, resources in general. So these teams don't have other options that like or going to like a not like central like decentralized options, or just trying like you say like hurt their UX because like they cannot, like, it's just like so like the resources are limited, right? So that's why in Tanssi like we believe that like projects should focus on what you mentioned, like UX and everything, and that we with our experience with like we dedicate all our team and resources on just infrastructure. We want to provide the best infrastructure for all of them, so I completely agree with what you say. I think like if we want to make Web3 way more accessible, UX, simplifying the experience, and also being able to handle high volumes, it's going to be key.
Yeah, and I also think that the projects that do manage basically to go through this kind of approach where they get the critical mass of people involved in their projects, they will be the actual winners from this. Because right now we're seeing that the altcoin space is not really doing great, unfortunately. And we have Bitcoin at 100K, and many altcoins are not really feeling the vibe of the bull market. And I think this is all due to the part that the projects are building something interesting, but it is for a special audience of, say, degens, or it's very catered to some part of the crypto community, and it's not engaging a lot of people. So I think the path of actually putting yourself out there and trying to hit a critical mass is very important.
100% agree with you. It's the way to go because like there's only a limit of growth in the blockchain ecosystem, right? Like, and we need to onboard like new type of use cases. And I think like this has been in the conversation of like when is blockchain going to be accessible to all. It's like make it part of your everyday use, like I was actually on this, I was talking with one of my friends. I'm from Peru, so I was talking with one of my friends from Peru just before this call, and he was telling me amazing things that like a country is like thinking on doing with blockchain. Like for example, thinking on like how can we enable both foreign Peruvians, through blockchain to make it like super transparent, and that in that case we can allow more accessibility to like Peruvians around the world, to vote remote and they don't have to look for an embassy that is like 4 or like 12 hours away from where they live. So I was hearing these type of use cases and I was like, yes, like this is what makes me bullish about like blockchain. I want to talk with these people. So it's amazing to see like these use cases are starting, but I think that we just need more of that, and we need that the builders in blockchain focus on those use cases, and that we go to these like people in like the real world stuff and see, okay, with our knowledge, how can we help you? So I think like that's definitely a way to go for us in Web3.
Yeah, sure. Speaking of the builders, I have the next question lined up about the Tennessee grant program. Could you update us and the listeners on it, and what it is, and who do you target, and what grants do you have right now or upcoming in the future?
Absolutely. Yeah. So like the grants program is open to all builders in Web3 that like want to build their projects on Tanssi. Definitely the Tanssi Foundation, that is the one handling all this program. It's checking for like new type of use cases, projects that have a solid idea, that there's like solid teams behind them. So like we definitely make sure that all the ecosystem projects that are going to be endorsed by Tanssi or the Tanssi Foundation, um, we want to make sure that these are like real teams like contributing to Tanssi. So that's one of the things that Tanssi Foundation is checking. So it's pretty straightforward to apply. They can go to tanssi.foundation. There's an option there on the top that says grants, and then they can just like apply to the grants program easily, and then fill out the application, and then go pretty much to the next step on the process. Our team in the Tanssi Foundation pretty much like will check the application, set an interview if needed, and then the process will move forward pretty much.
Yeah, yeah, and we'll just showcase, I guess, this on the stream. So yes, I guess I'm on the right page
Oh, yeah.
for applying to the grants program. So yeah, basic form here you can fill out with the details and your experience and submit it. And yeah, I think this is very crucial for builders. And I said, like I said in the beginning of the pod, basically, the more builders get involved, the bigger you can actually set up and build the project. So I think this is very crucial for the space.
Absolutely agree with you. We definitely need more like bright minds building together.
Sure, sure. Yeah. I also had a question about the actual Tansy token. I mean, you said the testnet was incentivized, and we already know the basic kind of tokenomics around it. We know the total supply of the tokens is going to be 1 billion. And right now you have grants, as we discussed, for builders, and you also have kind of grants or token allocations for the people that get engaged in the testnet. And the question I have is, what actual utility does the Tansy token have, and how can people utilize it, and what will be the main role of this kind of token? Basically, why launch the token?
Yeah, of course. So, like, pretty much Tansy is the main token of the Tansy network. So it's pretty much gonna be the token that empowers and like makes that everything like moves inside the network. I would say like four main, I would say, key roles that the token has. It's staking and security. So all this part of like rewarding and incentivizing like block producers, and also like that community can be part of that decision. That's gonna be key. Then like service payments and incentivizing operators and sequencers. This is more on how the architecture of Tansy works, like all these services that Tansy provides to builders, like block production as a service, data availability as a service, like access to the shared pool of operators. All of those type of services and the incentivization to these operators is also going to be filled by the Tansy token. And then in governance, right? Like we definitely, like I said, like we believers, huge believers on decentralization. So governance is going to start. It's part of the launch roadmap as well, to like have the Tansy token holders to be a crucial part of like key decisions of the network. So I'll say like those are like the main four roles of the token for the network. And like you said, like all the information is on the Tanssi Foundation. If people wants to see more about like the allocation and like the split and everything, I definitely suggest going there, because the foundation, I think, did an awesome job on trying to be as transparent as they could, even with vesting schedules and everything. And I do appreciate that from the community standpoint. So definitely, I suggest visiting that page. But in general, I think that's something that I will highlight with like how the network and the tokenomics as well has been distributed, is with a huge focus on the community, very community driven.
Yeah, yeah, and we can see this by the token distribution. I mean, 37% of the whole tokenomics is up for grabs, basically, for the community. Um, so yeah, I think this is a very good tokenomics model. You have all the details of who's getting what allocation, and you also have a live vesting schedule. It's actually very rare that in crypto you have this transparency about who's going to get the tokens and what proportion. Uh, from basically airdrop farming, you almost always get this magical points tab, and then you don't even have any sort of information on when points are going to be equal to something, or if ever. And some projects actually don't even do the points program, so people try to farm them and think they're going to be a token, but that's not even backed. I mean, I really like the way you're putting yourself out there and making the call for the whole vesting schedule on the whole tokenomics, even before TGE. Because what we're used to is on the date of TGE, you get your token allocation, a checker, and then you have like an hour of a window to deposit them to this centralized exchange and sell them. So that's not really great, I think, for the token holders in the future, because people just, they get them, they get bad news about tokenomics, and they instantly dump it. So I think transparency here in terms of tokenomics is very crucial.
Thank you so much. I appreciate with you. I appreciate what you said. Like, I think that it's crucial to be transparent with the community. I think like community is everything, and that should be for every Web3 project. Like, you are not successful without your community. That's it. It's a network effect. So that's what we're trying to do at Tanssi in everything, in every part that like we're building. So thank you for those comments.
Yeah. So just to wrap it up, I guess, do you have any last alpha you can share with the listeners and what they can actually focus on? I mean, we spoke about the testnet, which is live, Village 2, everybody can engage. Uh, are there any other ways and maybe ways in which people can integrate with your projects which don't have as much users, for say maybe there is some secret Discord roles or a Zeely forum or something like that? Do you have some alpha in terms of that?
Absolutely. I do have some. So, yeah, there's actually an ambassador program that is active on Tanssi. And this ambassador program now is going to get even like more decentralized. Huge shout out to Turitz. He's very known, for the Tanssi community, but he's leading these community efforts on making the ambassador program more accessible. But currently, people can apply through our website. If you go to tanssi.network, there's like an application there. So, like, we're still receiving like new people and like onboarding them. This process is just going to get more fun now with like what Turret is cooking at Tanssi. But besides that, I think like being an ambassador, of course, it gives you a special role on Tanssi, and you have access to. We have an alpha room in Discord where we shared alpha before we announce it, and we usually share it with like key roles like blog producers, ambassadors, and now operators. That is a new role that we have also in Discord. So if you have an ambassador role, you're definitely going to be able to get to this alpha. And then besides that, I mean, the Tanssi Foundation is hosting a token event. So like people that wants to access the token, there's like more details on this token event as well. But like one of the, I would say, like key features of this event, it's mostly that like the price of the token, it's at the same price from the last round that Montans Labs, that is a contributor to Tanssi, held for Tanssi. So it's the same price. So it's a way that the Tanssi Foundation pretty much did of like, okay, besides LFD season 1 and season 2, what's another way that we can like bring more token holders and like, you know, try to like give them the same like conditions. So it's pretty much that, and it's now filling up a whitelist. So whitelist registration is open. So if people want more information, visit the Tanssi.foundation page, and everything is listed there in announcements and everything. Or they can also join our channels, and we'll be more than happy to share these links with them.
Yeah, it also looks like you're onboarding basically many people from many different backgrounds. I see that there's like community building, graphic design, all sorts of even technical support and translation. So a jack of all trades here. I mean, almost anybody who wants to get involved in the ambassador program can show their skills. Another question I have to you: do you have any planned events that are going to be hosted live, or that's maybe some ETH Denver appearance or something like that? Do you have something like that lined up where people can come together and chat with you?
Yeah, absolutely. So if people wants to chat with us, all our Discord channel is always open, and we like are there. Like if somebody wants to reach out to me directly, my DMs are also open, and or also through Discord, and then I'm happy to chime in there. But there are like other shows that we have for the community monthly, and this is called the Tanssi Cast. That is where like we bring bright minds from Web3 to like chat about specific topics. The latest one was about like AI agents, and we had people from Mixi AI, A16 C DAO as well. We also had people from Tanssi as well. Jetty from Blockmates was the host. It was like also Cluster Julio, who is like a great on this like AI topic. So we had like a lot of bright minds that like got together, and it was such an awesome conversation that we just couldn't stop it at an hour, you know. And they were like, we had like this, you know, like these platforms, I don't want to say names, like there's an internal chat, and they were like, no, we want to continue talking. So like we just like love to give this space to our community. These are topics that are not 100% talking a lot about Tanssi, but we just want to like bring bright minds to talk about like community topics that matter in Web3. So the latest one was like AI agents. Now there's one coming that is on DeFi AI and real world assets 2.0. So that one was announced yesterday in our channels. So yeah, like this is a place where like the community can come, like interact with the speakers, like ask questions, and like, you know, be able to learn about like these trends in Web3. That is an industry that just moves so quick. It's crazy, right? So we it's like our way of giving back to the community. And then in general, we're also going to be at ETH Denver. We have like different side events that we're going to be sponsoring. So we are sponsoring a hacker house with Symbiotic that is going to be a full day. We're also sponsoring the modular day with Movement Labs and the Roll Up. And then we're also sponsoring an event with Moonsong Labs and the Roll Up that is a night in a museum. So these events are going to be actually listed in our recent newsletter. So if people want to go and register, links are going to be available for the community to join us. And if Michael, if you're going to ETH Denver, we should definitely plan, you know, to do like a meetup over there as well. I hope you're going.
Super great. Thank you for the invitation. As you mentioned, DeFi AI, I was actually getting very interested in that part of the tech. I mean, AI agent just popped out of nowhere, basically, with the Go token, and everything just started exploding. And coming back to my previous thought that we need real use cases, DeFi AI, from my perspective, is actually a very fundamental tech. I mean, this will just make DeFi so much easier for the average Joe to get stuck into and to understand how to actually generate yield, and not having to know all the technicals behind it, where you can swap, how you can bridge, what liquidity do you provide. You just basically set up a task for your bot, you give him money, and he executes it. And I think this really ties in well because the money for DeFi AI is crypto. Uh, I mean, you can't really make an agent and give him real money. So crypto has a real use case here, and I think AI and crypto match very well in this sense. And DeFi AI is kind of the uh, I don't even know how to put it all together. I mean, it's just perfect, the perfect match.
Now that we're in Valentine's Day, it's a perfect match, that we
Yeah,
all need it.
yeah, very excited about that. And of course, launching up different blockchains for maybe DeFi AI will also aid the cause, I guess.
Absolutely. Yeah. And we're also cooking stuff with AI in terms of infrastructure. And like we talk about like UX and how can we facilitate and make the deployment of networks like even faster. So we're also cooking with AI. I think like AI is definitely, like you said, a technology that just like matches perfectly with crypto. And I think like one needs each other, somehow.
Mhm.
So yeah, I think like it's definitely great what we're seeing. So we're gonna be talking more about that with like experts in this space, and I'm very excited about this one. I think it's going to be pretty cool to hear.
Yeah, and you also mentioned movement. I think this is also a great project because they launched not so long ago. They also had a very great testnet and remarkably a very nice airdrop. I mean, they have a great approach towards a really scalable and fast blockchain. So it will be interesting to visit the meetup in Denver and to hear what you guys have for us.
Absolutely. Yeah, I am definitely also a big fan of what Movement Labs and Will, like who is like the mastermind behind a lot of community initiatives, is building. I think like they're doing an awesome job. So yeah, for sure. If you are like around, we're more than welcome to assist the event, and we'll like have a beer over there and chat more about these amazing topics of Web3. So 100%, we'll see you there.
So, Katie, thank you very much. I guess we'll see each other at the next DeFi AI meetup in your Discord. Thank you for hopping on the podcast. It's been a pleasure discussing Tanssi with you. Uh, any last words for the listeners?
Yeah, no, I'm like very happy. I had a lot of fun talking with you, Michael. Thank you so much for the invite. And everybody's welcome to know more about Tanssi. Our website is tanssi.network. That website already has like all our communities listed. And if you have any questions on Tanssi, on Web3 in general, for people that is also like new to Web3, we have been in the space. We are no experts because blockchain just evolves every day. And like, I don't think anybody's an expert on Web3, but we'll try our best to like help you and solve some of your doubts. So nothing, like, again, thank you. And I hope everybody have a good one.
Thank you, everybody. Have a great rest of your day.
Thank you so much.